the MGM group, right? You're goddamn right I'm pulling all the audio and video from that night, and I'm sticking it into the deepest, darkest corner I could. My whole system would have gone down, quote unquote, until somebody sues me hard enough to see it. Look, I guarantee, like, you know, there's not a deep, dark conspiracy. It's a corporation covering its ass that had people die on its property.
Right. Yeah, you know, I think that there's a lot more that goes into it as well because of my the whole entire way it went down, and I don't want to rehash the whole entire investigation again. But, you know, the things that Lombardo said right at the beginning to the things that I actually heard happening on the scanner as it was happening, it just doesn't jive up to where the real story is now. And there's going to be more to it. Like I told you, there was more people involved.
5 years from today or 10 years from today. Yeah, right. In the final report, much like Kennedy, look, for everybody who thought it was a single shooter that somehow magically had a bullet float in 25 different directions and take out everybody with a single shot, down to a guy literally making a movie called I Shot JFK where he confirms that he was one of the additional shooters. That's long enough past. Nobody cares anymore. We don't care.
No, you're right. And even with the 9/11 report, like we talked about, it was redacted for 15 years. I went nuts over this thing for 15 years because it showed Saudi complicity. And here we are sending arms to Saudi Arabia, backing Saudi Arabia up in their wars, giving them intelligence in Yemen to basically commit genocide. And 18 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi and Saudi-trained people. It really, really stuck in my craw. And it really, the whole entire thing, as I evolved as not only as a person, but as somebody that was really involved in politics, I started to open my eyes and really take a real deep, dark, hard look at the Bush administration. And what I found, it shook me, to be honest with you, Lee. So I could understand how the truth could, people that aren't, you know, they don't have – maybe they haven't been involved in politics that long. Maybe this is, you know, the first go around for them. They don't understand some of the shocks that when you learn about people that are in politics, that you learn about the kind of people that they are. And it's kind of disheartening to find out. And that's kind of what I went through with Dick Cheney. I really admired Dick Cheney for his back then I looked at it as his balls, you know what I mean? To stand up there, whatever, his hubris. I thought that was kind of cool. He was basically – he was Darth Vader.
Yeah, he was Darth Vader taking a lot of cash. Lots of money. Oh, my God.
What I liked, though, with him, what I admired the most was he would sit in an interview with one of these major outlets, and they'd say something he didn't like, and he'd be like, well, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Right.
And I really dug that. And once I started digging deeper and I found out, you know, stuff that I really never wanted to find out, stuff about Halliburton and just different investments that he made, he went from being like, oh, man, this guy I admire to somebody I just completely detest. And I think that he's a war criminal at this point. So I believe that Dick Cheney, George Bush, Wolfowitz, Rumsfeld, they should all be held to account. The whole entire Iraq war was fabricated. It was a bunch of BS. If we were going in anywhere, we should have went.
Now you're on the correct side of the ledger. You're back with the PC crowd. They agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's called being a responsible adult. Learning that you're not going to always be right, and when you're faced with the facts and it goes against what you think, your opinion doesn't mean anything at that point. You need to follow the truth, especially as somebody who, you know, considers himself a journalist like myself. If somebody tomorrow was to provide proof that Donald Trump colluded with Vladimir Putin to steal the election, I'd be the first guy at the White House ready to tar and feather this man.
Right.
But that proof has not been provided. The only proof I've been provided here is there's a conspiracy, all right, a conspiracy to fucking unelect a duly elected president against the will of the American people. That's what I'm seeing here.
Yes, I agree.
You know, you add that on to my disillusionment with after 9/11, the way that was handled, and you could see where I get to a point where I don't trust anything the FBI is doing.
I don't trust anything from either side anymore because of what they're doing. I mean,
you know, the FBI is just they're never truthful about anything. The upper echelons of management, they have, you know, basically they have people that come in, they have a media department. You know, university-trained journalists to come in and tell us basically what we want to hear. You notice that Agent Rouse is never on there saying much, right? It's always Lombardo or whoever the spokesman is now, whoever the spokeshead is. So, you know, enough. It gets to a point where you just got to say to yourself, as somebody who's sitting around, maybe it's time I should turn off the TV. I should turn off the news, and I should go and find these answers for myself. If you're truly interested in enough to sit around and watch the news for 4 hours a night, I think you have an hour of time that you could spend actually researching some of this stuff.
Why don't you plug Icarus?
Yeah, hey, you guys want to follow the news? I mean, Icarus News is where it's at right now. It's IKARUS News. A lot of stuff about the dossier. Like I said in a bunch earlier when the show first started, you know, my main outlook in politics was usually geopolitics, meaning, you know, world politics. I'm really locked into Middle Eastern news, and that's what Icarus was basically founded on. But then the whole entire dossier thing broke, and we have pivoted basically to cover the dossier and government misuse of power against American citizens. But as this all winds down and things are heating up in northern Syria, we'll be covering that big time, because what Turkey is doing in northern Syria is definitely war crimes, and they have no place in NATO, and we could do a whole show on that.
Yeah, we definitely could. All you got to do is type in Challenge the Narrative. That'll take you to the Facebook page. Go to Icarus News. Follow Bobby online at Facebook as well. Stay up to date. Think. Just think. I don't think that's too much to ask. Just think.
Yeah, go to the gym all the time and you work out. You want your muscles to be strong. Your brain, it's the same thing. You got to expand your viewpoints, and even if it makes you uncomfortable, step outside of that echo chamber. Be uncomfortable for a little while, even if you don't agree with what you read afterwards and it has no impact on you. You have to test your toes in some cold water every now and then, and make sure that you're not being sucked in by propaganda.
There you go. We'll be back next week, hopefully, if all of the audio gear holds up, with more. Thanks, everybody, for listening.